Hello everyone, welcome back. Today I want to talk about the second round of the ATF's proposal for banning pistol braces. They tried to do it a couple of months ago. They backed off of that. Now they came back to it. The only reason why they came back to it is because the Democrats saw that they really couldn't pass anything through the Congress. All right. So then the problem there is that, hey, Bloomberg gave them all this money. They got nothing to show for it. So they went to the only place that they could go. They went to one of the agencies that they, basically have complete control over. And they said, do something. So the ATF basically decided, hey, what are the two easiest things that we can attack? We'll go after the polymer 80s, right? Force those to be serialized. And then we're going to go after the pistol braces, which is a major mistake because they think that these aren't as popular as they think they are, right? These are actually extremely popular. In my opinion, banning these amounts to hating on women, okay? Because the AR pistols are the best guns for women. I've done many videos on this. I've posted videos where I'm actually training women. Just because the barrel is shorter, it makes it easier for them to hold up the gun. They train longer, they train more often, they get better with it. When they try to use handguns, the handguns often are a lot more difficult, especially for women. They have a hard time just getting a sense of where the gun is pointed. With the rifle, because the arms are further apart, they got a better sense if they're pointing the gun upright. They just point your arm in the direction that they want to point it in. And basically, they're going to be on target, especially if you put a red dot on it. It's really the best home defense gun for women, okay? Shotguns, very difficult to operate under stress, very easy to fumble shells. Now, for myself, I prefer a full-size AR, 16-inch barrel. Even in close quarters, if I need to shorten the rifle, I have techniques for shortening the rifle if I need to shorten the rifle. So I would rather have a full, or not full length, because full length might be considered 20 inches, but I'd rather have a 16-inch barrel on my home defense AR. This is where I normally shoot, okay? Unless I'm doing some testing or I'm training somebody, I normally don't use the AR pistols. It's just the fact that, it's a shorter barrel. It's a little less comfortable for me. Also, for me in a home defense type of situation, hey, my home, right, is surrounded by lots of property, right? So, it's very possible that if I ever had to use my gun in a home defense type of situation, I might end up from inside the home, outside the home, okay? And now you might say, well, why would I have to do that? How is somebody outside your home a threat? Well, if they're lighting up a Molotov cocktail about to set your house on fire, they're a threat outside your house. If they're, 300 feet down and they're shooting at your house, they're a threat. Okay, so just because I live in the rural area, I need, my home defense rifle needs the ability to be both close quarters. And also be able to be, it also has to be effective out at longer distances, which is why the 16-inch barrel is ideal for me. But for most women, this is front heavy, okay? So they I see them holding this, right? They bring their hands back here. It's still heavy. They start losing the gun like that. So these are basically the best guns for women. Now, the question becomes, how did this thing even become a thing, right? Why is this such a thing where you have to, why is this such a concept as a short barrel rifle? Well, what happened back in the Firearms Act of 1934, in the original draft, right, that they were negotiating, all handguns were going to be banned, all of them, okay? So in that original draft, since all handguns were going to be banned, they had to put in some type of provision that, hey, if we get rid of all the handguns, what's to stop people from just taking their rifles or their shotguns and cutting them down? So for that reason, they put in that, hey, shotguns had to be longer than 18 inches or longer. Rifles had to be 16 inches or lower. So that's how we ended up with this concept. And then through negotiation, they got rid of the handgun ban because if they didn't, that Firearms Act of 1934 would have never passed. So they got rid of the handgun ban, but they left in this provision for the rifles and shotguns. Okay, so that's why this thing exists at all. So, but again, the whole thing is completely idiotic. It amounts to hating on women because these are the most popular and most useful guns for women. Okay, now. Let's say they do pass it, all right? Let's say that the ATF, it's not even that they're passing it because they're not actually making a law out of this. They're just, giving an opinion, But let's say they make this new ruling and they say that they're going to enforce it. How the hell are they going to enforce this thing? Last estimate I heard, there's about 40 million of these things out there, okay? 40 million. But here's the thing. Let's say they say that, okay, great, you can't have a stabilizing brace on your AR pistol. Okay, well, here's the thing. There you go. This is now legal, and this is also legal. It is legal for me to have these two things separately. Okay, so what did they accomplish, right? They can't force me to get rid of this. They can't force me to get rid of that. And I don't know, is anybody looking right now? Okay, well, let me put this back on. Okay. So they're making themselves look silly by passing these rulings that are completely unenforceable. Okay, I mean, why would somebody have a brace? All right, if they don't intend on putting it on their pistol, well, hey, listen, I can take this brace and I can put it on this rifle. There's nothing that says that I can't put a brace on this 16-inch rifle. So the easy solution is, if they, let's say they pass this ruling, right? All that somebody would have to do is simply separate the upper and the lower. Okay, so if they pass this ruling, this silly ruling, basically all you would have to do is just store your uppers and your lowers separate, and basically now you have incomplete firearms. You got no idea how I'm planning to attach this. I'll take this one apart. No idea how, nobody would have any idea of how I'm planning to put these together until they're actually put together. So this is just completely idiotic. It makes the government look foolish when they pass laws that are unenforceable, that don't actually help anybody, that don't make anybody any safer. And the bottom line is the only reason why the ATF is doing this is because Biden said you got to do something, because we're not getting anything done in Congress, and Boss Bloomberg is angry at us for not getting anything done. So that's why the ATF is doing what they're doing. And even if they come out with this ruling, it is going to be immediately challenged. The fact that there's 40 million of these things out there means that they are easily common use. So yeah, it's gonna get tied up in the courts. ATF is gonna look even more foolish. Now, in order to help the situation, when they do open up the commenting, right, it's important that you guys go and you make a comment. Now, the comments, they don't need to be something very long or detailed. Just a simple 2 lines, 3 lines. Hey, shall not be infringed means exactly that. It's the best gun for my wife for home defense. Just something nice and simple. They're probably not even going to read it. But the reason why it's important is when this ends up in the courts, our side needs to be able to say, hey, ATF, you received 50,000 comments against this. You received 60,000 comments, 1 million comments, whatever the number is. The bigger the number of the comments, the more ammunition the lawyers fighting this will have. So as soon as the comment section opens up on this, we all need to go in there, make a comment. Like I said, keep it simple. Don't put too much thought into it, because they're probably not going to read it anyway. They're just looking at the totality of it. How many comments are there in total? Don't be rude. I mean, they're probably going to read like a small sampling, like maybe they'll read 100, maybe 200. So if your comment ends up in the sampling and it's rude, basically it's going to be removed from that list. Okay, so you're not helping the situation. So just shall not be infringed means exactly that. Make that comment. Tell them it's your wife's or your girlfriend's favorite gun to shoot. It's the best gun. It's the gun that she's able to use the best for home defense. and that's it. You don't have to get too crazy with the comments. You do gotta put your name and your address. You don't have to worry about them coming to your house because you made a comment with your name and your address, because anybody can make a comment on this, right? You don't, even a non-gun owner, right? You don't have to own any guns in order to be able to make a comment. So they're not going to go through this list and say, okay, here's a list of all the people that probably had these that we're going to have to go and and investigate. So that's not the way it's going to work, because they're going to get thousands of these comments. But every single one counts. So I hope this video was useful to you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you're not a member of the channel, subscribe. I'll talk to you guys soon. Hey everyone, I just wanted to add something real quick. The vast majority of the people that have bought these AR pistols with these braces over the last 5 to 10 years are not going to be aware of this rule change that the ATF is making. Okay, if they go ahead and actually make it. Most of them don't follow gun use, right? So, I mean, granted, I do. You guys out there following this channel do, but the vast majority of people that I have trained over the last 10 years, most of the, like 95% of the people that come to me, are beginners, never shot guns before, and they get some basic training, they gain some basic proficiency, gun safety. But that's as far as they go. Okay, they might go to a range, I don't know, a few times a year. So most of them are not going to become aware of this ATF rule change. And certainly, even if they did, I mean, the ATF came up with this point system to determine if you have an AR pistol, if you can keep your brace on it, or if you cannot keep your brace on it. And I looked at it, and I can't understand it. And I know guns, so if I can't understand it, I know that a lot of the women that I train, there's no way they're going to understand it, just because they don't know. You got to understand, most of these beginners, they know what a trigger is, right? Because they've heard that term, but they don't know what a bolt is. They don't know what a buffer tube is. They don't know that that's a stock. Okay, they're lucky if they know what a barrel is. A lot of times they don't know what a barrel is. So a lot of these terms a lot of these technical terms that apply to guns, most of the people out there don't know them. So when stabilizing brace, most people that own AR pistols don't know what a stabilizing brace is. They don't realize that this brace is different than the stock on the rifle. They're just not into that. That's not why they didn't buy the gun, so they can learn all these technical terms. They bought the gun so they can have a gun to shoot, for fun or for home defense or whatever. And they don't get any deeper into that. So essentially, what the ATF would be doing with this proposed rule change is criminalizing something that they now own that was legal when they bought it. Okay, and if the ATF is making something illegal that was previously legal, it sounds to me like they're making law. Okay, that's a law, and the ATF is not a law-making body. So this proposed rule change is clearly law-making. Okay, and like I said, it's silly for all the reasons I said. Most people out there, all 40 million of them, only a small minority of the people that own these are going to know or believe that this ATF rule change applies to them. They're probably going to assume that, hey, I bought my gun when it was legal, it's grandfathered in. That's the normal thing for people to think, right? Because, for example, if I have a car from whatever 15, 20 years ago, I bought that car, and let's say now they've changed the emission standards. Okay, I mean, I understand that if I buy a new car, it has to adhere to the new emission standards, right? But I don't expect that the car that I bought 10, 15, 20 years ago, that the standards of today, the emission standards of today, need to be applied to that car, right? So that's what people expect. They don't expect that new laws will affect things that they already know. They expect that things that they already own are generally grandfathered in. So, anyway, I hope this is useful to you guys. I'll talk to you soon.